Hi there, this is Ronnie coming at you with a video. On the Facebook YouTube RPG Brigade page, there's a thread running at the moment, started by Sam DiMercurio, and apologies Sam if I'm pronouncing your surname wrongly there, and it's about encounter balance with regards to PCs and so on. Interesting set of views going in and out. All sort of coming back to sort of different philosophies of how you run a game as a GM. And I thought I'd throw in mine. Do I believe in encounter balance? Yeah, no. That sounds like a silly answer, I'll explain. I don't believe in the encounter, in creating an encounter that the PCs cannot veer away from, that they can't possibly win. I mean, there's one thing to set up an encounter that the PCs have a very good chance of getting killed in, but there are other options. That's fine. But if you create an encounter that the PCs can't possibly survive and you give them no other options, I disagree with that. And I think, to be honest, most people would. Personally, I'm not big on combat. Combat for me, I mean, I was running Dragon Age recently and it was coming, oh, let's have a combat, do a bit of travel, have a random encounter, bit of travel, let's have a trap. And I ran a sort of piss take of a dungeon crawl for Free RPG Day. And again, I put some combats in that simply because, they're almost expected. But I'm not big on combat usually. I like sort of combat has often turned for me as that thing that happens if the PCs really screw up. If they've done something wrong somewhere, if they've really screwed up or they've missed something, then a combat might occur as a direct consequence or as an indirect consequence. But I'm not actually one for just having random encounters, and I find them boring and time consuming. I'd rather get on with the story. If the storyline has to take a back seat for half an hour while you do a little combat, I just fall asleep. I get it if it's part of the storyline. Over the last few weeks online, I've been playing in Jenny the Rogue DM's Shadows of Estringam. And yes, there were combats, but they were pretty much married to the story. They weren't random events. They were all sort of intertwined with entwined with the story, and that's fine. But you're walking along the road. Oh, you meet an orc. Let's have a combat. No. As for balance, a couple of people mentioned, and I'm going to agree with it. I get why people say that there shouldn't be sort of a balance in encounters. I disagree slightly. As I say, I think there has to be a check and balance in place in any encounter. Some encounters will be ridiculously, even boringly easy for the PCs to deal with. Some will be more of a challenge, and some will be a very big challenge. And some may well be too much of a challenge for those particular PCs. But in that case, there has to be other options. unless, as I say, the encounter is due to the fact of choices they've made previously, and it's just snowballed into this encounter, then they've kind of walked themselves into their own doom. But other than that, there does have to be a sort of check and balance. You know, the GM is there to present a challenge, not actually set out to kill the players. I mean, it's not Paranoia. I accept with Paranoia, you know, the RPG, the GM is pretty much set out to kill the characters. But that's a whole different kind of mindset and mentality, that game. It's almost a spoof of RPGs in general. Almost. But in terms of your standard RPGs, the GM should be creating good encounters if you're going to have sort of combats, especially if you're getting to the end. There's a guy did a video on it, and essentially was saying that he likes to do really tough encounters because he wants the players to feel like they've earned their victory, and I kind of understand and see where they're coming from. I think if you do nothing but tough encounters, you're going to fall foul. But you know, I suppose if you're doing an adventure that has a sort of big bad at the end, big boss battle at the end of it, then yeah, I can sort of see why you know, you'd want to make that encounter tough and, you know, sort of go for a big heroic finish. Again, as I say, for me, big boss battles happen because the players have screwed up somewhere and walked themselves into a situation they could have easily avoided. When I run my number one game, because it's a swashbuckler, there does tend to be a sort of, you know, fight at the end, but only because it's sort of, it fits the period. But up till then, it's investigation. Cult, which is my second place game at the moment, is that's very much, you know, every creature in there, in that rulebook, will pretty much kill you. There's no balance in those encounters at all. They're all ruthlessly, brutally difficult to deal with, and can deal with you incredibly easily. So, you know, it's there's no balance there. They are the things that you come up against if you really screwed up. You know, if you've missed a step or missed a vital clue, then you're going to end up coming up against these guys and you're going to die. Particularly as Cult has essentially has a one-shot kill system. You can die from a single, you know, any combat could, you know, any shot, any kick, any blow of any kind could actually be, you know, fatal. So it's difficult that way, which I like. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I agree that encounters, I agree encounters should have a certain check and balance, as opposed to, you know, GM sitting there going, right, we've got 5 first level characters, so I'm going to use this many orcs, or this many goblins, or this and that. But if you are going to create encounters where the PCs have little, if any, chance of surviving, there needs to be options. You can't just create an extremely tough encounter and not give them options, even if those options are retrospect. You know, the options were not at that point. You know, they didn't go, you know, sort of, you could have went right instead of left. More sort of, well, if you hadn't talked to that guy, and if you hadn't done that, and if you hadn't done that, then you wouldn't be in this position now. That's how I like to run encounters, particularly boss battles at the end, which I guess would make my games look on the surface to be a little anticlimactic, but quite frankly, I kind of like the idea that the players congratulate themselves on being a little smarter. So those are my views, and I'll be back soon with another video.